Alright guys, we're here. We're meeting up with Matt down in Hatteras, and he's got some Mystic harnesses for us to just take back home and demo. And we're going to do a little review this week on the Mystic lineup versus the Ride Engine lineup. And there's a lot of hard shells out there, but we find these two to be the most comparable. So it seemed fitting for another versus video. So let's go get Matt. Hi, buddy.
Whoa, easy. Yeah. That's it.
You see, man?
Yeah, come on. Alright, I got all your stuff set up here.
What do we got going on here?
Well, we got the new Majestic X. We got the Majestic, the non-carbon version of the X. And I don't know if you need it, we got the gem harness as well.
Right on. So yeah, man.
Colors, right?
Same color. That's my color right there. So I'm stoked. Yeah, we got some new toys to demo and check out. Maybe not this one.
Okay. But
this week we're gonna do a review on the Mystic lineup versus the Ride Engine lineup. So let's get to it. It's like day 5 here in Portugal, and it's 5 for 5. We've rode every single day. I've been getting some sessions in on my Mystic harness, and I just started writing up a versus video for the Mystic Majestic lineup versus the Ride Engine lineup. So I think we're gonna get that filmed up. And actually, it was just a few weeks ago that I was in Hatteras when I met up with Matt from Mystic, and he set me up with a loaner harness so I could demo it. So I've been getting my hours in on these, and I'm definitely ready to do a good versus video on that. So I think I'm going to get off the water, we're going to get some food, and then we're going to get to that versus video. So we're talking about kiteboarding harnesses. When Ride Engine came out, they really changed the kiteboarding harness forever. A practical change that actually solved a real problem, preventing the harness from riding up. And with it came a few features: smaller, lighter, better looking, and the option for a rope slider or a metal hook. In the years that followed, it seems like every brand has some form of a hard shell harness now. And while there are a lot of really good options out there, some better than others, at the shop, two favorites have really emerged: the classic Ride Engine and the Mystic Majestic. So these two lineups have a lot of similarities and a few differences, and we're gonna break these down today. So first and foremost, let's start out with the most standout difference, and that would be the feel. So the Ride Engine, we found that these feel a bit stiffer. Even the baser models like the Hex Core, it's very stiff. And in contrast, the Majestic X, the stiffer of the two harnesses in the Majestic lineup, is fairly on par with the Hex Core in regards to at least what I've noticed on the water and how they feel in support and stiffness. And this isn't really a pro or a con, it's really just more so a preference. So the Ride Engine is going to feel more supportive, and you're going to notice it, while the Majestic X, you're going to notice it less. And when testing that, the basic Majestic, I actually almost forgot that it was a harness, and I've never really had that happen before. I've never noticed a harness less on the water. And Jake Mitchell was testing this a while back, and he actually ended up picking up the Baser Majestic because he just enjoyed the way it felt so much. So this kind of leads to my next point, and that is that Ride Engine is designed to be insanely stiff and insanely supportive. And it has that special lumbar lock shape to it, and everything within the padding, while the Mystic is just horizontally stiff, yet it still has a torsional flex. So it will still move with your body, and this is absolutely noticeable on the water. So in regards to feel and support, you will find the Majestic to be supportive, but definitely more flexible than the Ride Engine. So we've addressed the first and what I consider probably the most important point of any harness, which is the feel, and that's obviously completely subjective, and it just comes down to your body shape and how the harness feels. But what about function? So they both solve the same problem, and honestly, they both really do it equally well. None of us have had a problem with either of these brands riding up, unlike a lot of the softer harnesses. And they do stay tight and they do stay low. Of course, obviously some people, every harness fits every person differently, and we've had great success with the Ride Engine. So for most people, for most body shapes, the Ride Engine actually is incredibly successful. And we found the same with the Mystic, that they don't really ride up, they do solve the same problem. So as far as function goes, these two are completely on par. So what it comes down to here is, do you want a harness that's more stiff, the Ride Engine, or do you want something with some torsional flex, a little bit looser, it's gonna kind of move with you as you're on the water? Then you might want to look to the Mystic. And then as well, as far as functionality, both come with the option of a rope slider or a standard hook. And then I believe with the Mystic, there's something a little bit different. So you can actually flip the rope slider, and depending on what toe side edge you favor, you can actually set it up to just get a little bit more room when you're edging toe side, So they do have that claim to fame, which is kind of nice. So another important point of interest here is how these harnesses fashion. Now Ride Engine, they have changed their harness in the last few years. So rather than having two loops that you hook on, they now have one side that's more like a traditional spreader bar attachment system. You know, some people like it, some people don't. Most people do like it. You know, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with this system. It's a little bit different. It looks a little bit different. But as far as functionality goes, you know, it's perfectly safe. It's not going to come undone. So it just comes down to if you haven't used a Ride Engine, just getting used to it. And then regarding Mystic, you know, they also have more of a more standard spreader bar as far as the attachment system. When it comes to latching that down, you know, you just want to make sure that there's no tension on the Mystic. So one thing we have noticed is when that harness is under pressure and you go to push the button down to open up the spreader bar there, if there is tension, it will not come undone, which is actually by design. So when you're riding, you don't accidentally unhook and have a loose spreader bar. And I'm sure some of you have experienced this on the water before, where you're riding and you accidentally open that up. Not likely to happen with the Mystic, which is great. So the trick here is just to make sure that there's no tension on there when you push down, and then it will release very easily. Something else that I noticed and I did kind of like about the Mystic is they don't actually come with the handle pass rope attached directly to the back of the harness when you first open it out of the package. You'll actually have to attach that, and it's very easy. It's just two loops, goes right around your straps before you connect the spreader bar. Very easy to do. But what they're trying to do here is they're trying to encourage people to use the front attachment point for their front shorter leashes, as most people don't really use a handle pass leash. You don't need it, and it actually softens the impacts when you fall. The kite's not going to pull you forward. Now Ride Engine, like Mystic, they both have you know, varying levels of stiffness and lightness as you move up the line up of the harnesses. So you know, in regards to the Mystic Majestic X, it's going to be lighter and stiffer, and the same thing. You know, Ride Engine, their hex cord, the baser, it will be the least stiff, albeit it's still incredibly stiff. And then once you move up into the Pro or the Elite, the harnesses do become lighter and stiffer. Although, honestly, I really see no point to the harnesses becoming any lighter or stiffer, and maybe there's something I'm missing here, but it's the center point of gravity. It doesn't really make that much of a difference on the water when the harness gets that much lighter. They're already incredibly light. I guess in regards to travel, maybe it makes a difference if you're saving a few ounces, but as far as functionality on the water, the lightness, it doesn't make that much of a difference. The stiffness, it might make somewhat of a difference to some people. You know, if you're looking for the maximum support, the most stiff harness, then you're probably going to like the higher level harnesses in each lineup. And you know, like I mentioned earlier, some people actually prefer the baser level harness of the Mystic, simply because you really don't feel that harness, whereas while I've been demoing the Majestic X on the water here, I do notice that one more. It feels more similar to the hex core, just in regards to support and the stiffness. You know, admittedly, I almost prefer the feel of the baser level Mystic, but I like the color of the Majestic X. It just looks cooler, the dark X there. But that's another point to talk about is with Ride Engine, you can set up custom colors. They have a wide variety, with the exception of the hex core. Those are going to be kind of their standard colors. And then with Mystic, there's a lot of really cool female colors for the ladies out there. And for us guys, you know, we kind of have the baser, the dark black, and then the blue, a little more baser, not as many options for the colors, but that's okay. Black goes with everything. And with all these videos, I do make a point to try to not get too much into the tech jargon, but both of these lineups do have really nice foam within them. They both feel very locked in. They do fit to the contours of your back and your body, and they both have a lot of great benefits. And this is a hard point to really compare, because really it just comes down to which one feels best. And when choosing a harness, that's really what's most important, is just trying it on, seeing how it feels. You know, you can hook it to a bar and have somebody hold the line and just kind of lean back, or demo it on the water, and feel is what's most important. So in summary here, between these two harnesses, I would say simply go with feel if you have the chance to try them. If not, go by the color. If you want something a little more supportive, you know, go for the Mystic Majestic X or some of the Ride Engines. If you want a harness that you hardly notice on the water, you might want to try the baser Majestic. And then from there, you know, after feel, just go by color. So hey guys, I hope you found this shorter video helpful. If you did find it helpful, please give the video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. And we will catch you next time on Sessions.